Hey everyone, so this week we are going to continue with our Python experiments, or our Python adventures, and we are going to look at how to use Python to download a web page from the internet and extract data from it. And the web page that we're going to look at right now is, oh look, here it is actually this one. I will go through in class exactly how I located this web page, but basically you'll notice that it is the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets. This talks about this particular page is listing the appropriate pH ranges for commercially canned foods. There you go, it's right on top. And this is just to sort of use as an example for us because very often, as I mentioned in class, there may be information in tables like this on the internet that have information that you want, but which are very difficult to can sometimes be very difficult to sort of extract the information from. Now, sometimes just highlighting it and kind of copying and pasting it to Excel will work. We are going to look at how to do this programmatically. Also because this approach of having Python download HTML files for us and process them is really handy when, for example, we have to do a lot of pages, right? We need to actually download data from a lot of different web pages. And this is most common when we're interfacing with databases that might return results in a limited way, right? So they only return 50 results on a particular page, and you don't want to be sitting there copying and pasting out of 50 web pages in order to get your data set. The first thing that we need to do is we need to install, now that we've located our data, is we need to install an additional package for Python. And actually to do this, we are going to use the terminal window. So if you go to your Finder and type in terminal, you should get a window that looks something like this. And you can see that this is my terminal prompt. If you are an admin on your computer, which I'm hoping all of you are, there's a very easy way to do this, and this is one of the reasons why lots of people, like the command line, is because there are some really handy utilities for installing new programs or additional programs just with a really short command from the command line, rather than having to kind of go to a website and download a DMG and then drag it into the applications folder and all this stuff. So we are going to use something called pip, P-I-P, and it lets us just write this, pip install, and the name of the package that we want is Beautiful Soup. Actually, I think that's capitalized, Beautiful Soup, okay? And assuming all is well with this, what it will do is simply, it will actually go to, it knows where Beautiful Soup is, and it will go and get it and download it and set it up for us. So if I hit return, you see all this kind of stuff happens. Although it looks like it's downloading Beautiful Soup 3, which is not ideal, but I think it'll actually work for us. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so I actually had a little error in there. I should have done a, this is a bunch of crap, don't worry about that. I should have actually done pip install Beautiful Soup 4. Mine is already installed, so I can't install it again, but hopefully just do this the first time and you should be fine. And we'll see how this goes. If any of you have problems with this or you get an error about not having pip, let me know. Please post ASAP. But this actually probably is built into all of your computers, especially now that you have Python. And in that case, we're now ready to get going. So I just want to cover quickly, I'm gonna go ahead and open up Aptana Studio. I'm gonna create another project inside my workspace. I renamed my workspace Python scripts because it made more sense to me than week 5. And I just kind of want to show you guys now that we have an environment set up. So we can see that I have my week 5 project here. So we can use a shortcut rather than kind of, in the last videos, although I know I didn't do this in class all the time, kind of this lengthy process about creating a project and then promoting it, we can actually just here go to File, New PyDev project. And what you'll see is now that I've set up my interpreter, right, so it says click here to configure interpreter not listed, it didn't know anything about Python the first time. Now it does, and so I can just put in my folder name and say, yep, go on with it. And so now I have a week 6 folder, so I can see in week 5, that's all my stuff. So week 6, whoops, has some stuff in it that I want to delete because that's what we're making. Aha. Yes, I do rehearse these things. So the first thing I'll do now is I will create a just a new file. So same thing that we've been doing. And very often this process that we're about to engage in is referred to as scraping. So I'm going to say scrape and parse because we can actually um, uh, do both. Ph data. Okay, whoops, .py. And so downloading data from the web, the script is often referred to as scraping. We need to use a library for this as well. So the same way that we used the regular expression library last week, we're going to use a library for this as well. And this one is called URLlib2. Now there's multiple ones that you can use, and this is going to give me an error for a second, right? Because it's unused. Thank you, program. I have written a single line of code, only the import statement. Not surprising that I haven't used it yet. This is just to show you that sometimes these errors are not very helpful. Okay, so we'll make our program happy by actually using this URLlib2 library right away. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a I guess web page is now one word, but anyway, web page. I'm going to create a variable called web page. And the nice thing about this library is that it's really easy to use. So I just say URL open, right? Again, so kind of mirroring our what we experience with Python itself, right? Where it's just open, and obviously this is a Python library. So I can come back to my web page. Whoops. Come back to my web page here and just put the URL in here as an argument, and that's it. And then what I'm going to say is I have to tell, so we mentioned this the other week that like with Python will open anything. And so we have to give it a little bit of information about what we want it to do with what we ask it to open. And so there's actually something that we need to do. So I'm going to call this file data, or I'll call it HTML web page data. Okay, so in this case, what we're asking it to do is to read. So we're going to say web page data is going to be, web page data is the result of reading, reading the data from the web page we've just downloaded. Okay, so I'm going to start with this. You know how I like to do this, so I'll print hi there, and give this a run and just see how it goes. Okay, so again, not a whole heck of a lot happens, but I do get my print statement, which means that nothing went wrong. So now what I need to do is actually write this to a local file. And so again, even this in itself is really handy, because the ability to just succinctly download an HTML file to your hard drive is nice, especially if you have to do it many times. So I'm going to call this local file. And I'm going to say the local file is going to be what would we expect, but open, right? We're in Python, so we're still using the open thing. And this is very similar to what we did last week, where we're going to give it a name. So I'm going to call this ph data, or phinfo.html, and I'm going to tell that this is a writable file. So you see that I determined the file type just by the file extension that I put on it. Last week we wanted CSV, so we entered it in CSV. This week we want HTML because that's the type of file we read from, and that's what it's going to do. So now we're going to say local file.write. So again, we see our write command, and I'm just going to actually write the data that I downloaded, right? So I downloaded the web page, I read the data from the web page, and now I'm going to write that data to this HTML file. And then I'm going to close the file. Whoops, close. And I'm also going to close the web page, which is the connection to the internet, right? So I'm going to close that too, just for good measure. And if everything goes well here, what do we expect to get but a new file in my folder that says, hey, oops, see there's an error there, local file, except to get an HTML page. So if I run this, taking time. Take your time there. Where's my print statement, guys? I got my data file. Where's my print statement? That is interesting. Well, see if I run this again, what happens. There we go. Seems like maybe there's a little glitch, but you guys saw this pop up in the side, and so if I wanted to, I could, I could open this up with a browser, but why don't I just open it here and see what I get. Right? Okay, so this looks like the code that we might see if, for example, we came to our web page and did a view page source. And so if we just do a really quick comparison, it starts with title New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets, and then, yep, looks pretty good. So I'm pretty confident that this HTML file is a genuine copy of what I saw on the internet. And so in the next video, we're going to come back and look at how we can start breaking this up and parsing it out into creating a new Excel-friendly or spreadsheet-friendly data file. All right, see you guys in a few minutes.